secure. Every Norman hedgerow in this French dairyland was a natural bastion of earth and tree roots. For a month, the division's GIs slashed and stabbed through these German defenses, then shifted to join the First Army's breakthrough near Saint-Lô. Taking its most severe casualties since D-Day, it reached Coutances and turned southeast with the 3rd Armored Division, protecting the flank of the U.S. 3rd Army as it swept through the gap into Brittany. Like Gibraltar at Mortain, breaking every desperate German effort to cut into the breakthrough path of the 3rd Army. Men of the fighting first claim a role in tightening the noose of the Argentan Falaise pocket, a last death trap for the Germans of Normandy before turning east in the race for Hitler's right. Between Mauvais and Mons in Belgium, thousands of fleeing Germans ran head-on into the 1st Division, a wide-open battle that filled the division's prisoner of war cage with more men than it could muster at roll call. Through Charleroi and Namur, the pace of the chase quickened. The first crossed the Meuse River at Liège, but the breakthrough days ended in the spur of Germany's Siegfried Line at Rötgen. Ahead lay Aachen, first of Hitler's fortress citadels to be held at all costs. Yielded in weeks of heavy fighting before October 12th, when the division attacked Aachen from the southeast. For this moment, Germany reserved its greatest concentration of artillery and counterattacks that the first had seen since D-Day. By the 16th, its patrols joined hands with the 30th Division, but Aachen did not surrender until October 21st. By then, it was a rubber heap. Bloody Hudson Forest, a series of forests and fortified towns, all segments of the Siegfried Line. 7 divisions broke their hearts in the gloom of its mortar-ridden fog that cost more lives than any other objective in Europe. The Big Red One was one of 2 divisions to penetrate its deadly timbers from November 16th to December 7th. After it was pulled back to rest, Hitler struck on December 16th with the might of Germany's greatest counteroffensive of the war, the Battle of the Bulge. 3 German armies smashed into the thinly held lines of the 1st U.S. Army in the Ardennes. On their north, as the Germans tried to crack open the way to Liège and Antwerp day after day, they shattered against the iron strength of the 1st Division at Buchenbach. And then, in Europe's bitterest winter of deep snow and ice, the frost-bitten fighting men of the 1st and other divisions on January 15th started a 21-day attack that carried them back on through the Siegfried Line after the Bulge was eliminated. Across the swollen Brewer River and the well-defended Earth Canal, across the broad Cologne plains, the fighting first slogged ahead with slashing night attacks and into Bonn. The future capital of West Germany fell March 9th. Capture of the Ludendorff Railroad Bridge at Remagen by the 9th Armored Division enabled the 1st to cross the Rhine River dry-shod, the 2nd time in 2 world wars, just 20 miles northwest of Montauban, headquarters of its occupation of the Rhineland after World War I. Once more, the 5th Field Artillery carried the same colors that had crossed into the World War I bridgehead at Koblenz on December 13th, 1918. Another German army between
working in the Harz Mountains. And by April 19th, the German rout was on as the division PW cage filled with 30,000 enemy soldiers.
In the last days of German collapse, the first was shifted again southeast to the last western front in Czechoslovakia. It was fighting toward Karlsbad on May 8th when word came to cease fire forever.
On that day at Elbogen, the 12th German Corps surrendered to the Assistant Division Commander of the Big Red One, Brigadier General George A. Taylor. 11 months before, almost to the day, George Taylor, then a colonel, had taken his 16th Infantry onto Omaha Beach to break open Hitler's fortress Europa. World War II was ended for the 1st Division. In 443 days of combat since Oran in North Africa, 43,743 men had worn its famous shoulder patch, and 21,023 had become casualties. Of these, 4,325 were killed in action. This is the famous 1st Division of World War II, smaller by 10,000 men than its World War I counterpart. Organized around 3 infantry regiments with their supporting artillery battalions and other combat arms, the World War II unit was known as a triangular division. At full strength, it numbered 18,000 men.